Welcome to From Dream to Silver Screen, the podcast that follows the whole journey of making Wagyu Films' debut movie, Patriarch. The team are going to take you through acquiring funding, pre-production, filming, editing, visual effects, and even selling the film, all while providing hours of advice for filmmakers, actors, and crew, with hopefully a few laughs along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Zimplify, sales and marketing automation software that helps your business grow fast. Go to zimplify.com/patriarch to get 20% off your first 3 months. That's zymplify.com/patriarch. We're also sponsored by Mostly T-shirts, mostly.com. Fun and random t-shirts and hoodies for real film fans. See if you can get the references. Visit mostlytshirtsmostly.com to buy your next favorite t-shirt. Enjoy the show.
Hi guys, this is Dave Roberts, the writer-director of Patriarch, and today it's just me and Keith Lupton, the production designer.
Hello.
Hello. We might be joined by Sean Bishop, the cinematographer, later on, but he's actually in the middle of something at the moment. So what me and Keith are going to talk about is, because around now, a quick update with where we are with Patriarch. Basically, we're filming in January, it looks like. We're bang in the middle of casting, so we should have some casting news for you in the next 30 days, which is quite exciting. We're putting everything to do into production design and what we need and sets and costumes and blah, blah, blah. But a huge part of it is we're location scouting at the moment. We already have some locations set up because it is January not far away, but we're obviously looking at different things. But we wanted to, as we've come across a load of problems when we're looking for locations, because we might find locations that look really cool, but as soon as you get there, there's a big list of questions that we ask location managers or things that occasionally when you start getting no, you're like, wow, this is actually going to be horrific to film at, and so we need to think of somewhere else. So we'll start with that. Do you want to go first or shall I?
You can go first if you want.
Okay. I don't know if it's the most, that's the thing now, is if it's the most obvious ones or not. But the one we've found is pick a location with a plan B if it rains. I mean, we film in most of our stuff in the UK, so the weather is ridiculously all over the place, no matter what time of year it is. But what we refuse to do is sit around and wait for it to stop raining. So if it's an outdoor thing, obviously, we need to make sure we have a plan B somewhere else. Is there somewhere indoors that we could film a scene? So we try and look for an outdoor location with this type of building nearby. If it rains, we can drive to that one and do a certain thing. Is there a place where, say, if there's got to do some voiceover in the film, could we at least get one of the actors and record the voiceover somewhere quiet without the noise of rain on a roof or on it? It sounds like an obvious one, but most people find the perfect place. But if it rains, we've had it where it snowed ridiculously. So what are we going to do when it's snowing, when you don't expect it? You need to have a plan B. If all of your eggs in one basket in terms of using that location exactly how it looks when you found it and blah, 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 blah. What if it looks completely different? And what if it starts raining, snowing, lightning, blowing a gale, fog turns up randomly? You just can't film. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So good examples of that in terms of finding a location is just we find somewhere with something else nearby. So is there a building nearby where we could do usually the little faffy scenes, isn't it? Not the faffy, but you know what I mean. The ones that aren't huge scenes, but they could be filmed.
Fillers, isn't it?
Yeah. So if it's in a hallway or something like that, or is it doesn't need loads of the smaller scenes with minimal characters? Does that have to be in that location that you were thinking of, or could it be done in a different type of thing? But the point of it still gets across. So that'd be my first one: is have a plan B for weather, because most people don't think and they hope, and then what, you're going to stand there all day, minutes go by, and that's thousands of pounds to us.
That's it. Time's money, and when you're waiting for the elements to change, because they might not even change, so if you haven't got that plan B, you're literally just going to be sat there waiting for it to change, and if it doesn't, that's a lot of money on on the crew, on the actors,
the gear that you've hired,
everything.
The location you probably paid.
Yeah, you've probably paid for location. So if you've literally paid for that one day, and that one day is a washout, that's a lot of money that you've wasted. So as Dave said, the plan B is definitely important.
Yeah, it's not as if you get a free day because nobody did anything that day. If you can't film anything, you've still got to pay everybody for turning up in the morning. And some people, I think one thing we've kind of learned as we go through producing stuff, once you've got a crew and things like that, people just want you to make a decision. So if people turn around to you and say, all right, we're raining, what are we going to do? And you're like, well, maybe let's give it another half an hour, see if it stops. People kind of lose all respect for you because you're not in control. So it's kind of like, oh, great, this is what this is one of them shoots, is it? We're one of these type of people. But if you turn around and go, right, we'll give it 10 more minutes. If not, this is what we're going to do. I think everybody would be a bit more confident in you as a 100%. Filmmaker, wouldn't they? Go on then, what's your next one?
I think the one I'd probably go with is... it's probably to do more with the sound. Right. So when you're obviously going on a location scout, when you get there, when you're at that location,
take a mic with you.
Obviously, just try not speaking for like a minute or so, and to see what kind of background noises there are, or whatever. I mean, the amount of times we've turned up on locations, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's fine. It should be fine here." 10 minutes later, a train goes by or an airplane goes by or something. Over. There's always a flight path nearby.
There's actually software I think you can go on where you can pick up flight paths in terms of where they're going. But sometimes you've just got to, you're done. As soon as you're waiting for that plane, you can't do anything for the 5-6 minutes to go over. And if they come over 20 times a day, you are knackered.
You're buggered.
Also, dialogue. So if they're talking, and because we were thinking of a good idea of having like an interrogation in a... was it a shipping container?
Container, yeah.
So, but you go into it's metallic, and so it's just the sound would just be horribly echoey and tinny when you're in it. So we have to think of if we definitely want that look, then we'll have to build a set for that, which is.
I think we've changed a couple of times in terms of the interrogation room of. We were thinking of.
There's reasons like that, though, isn't it? Rather than, oh, this would look cooler. It's just, it looks interesting, and we can light it all nice, and it'd look. Not creepy is the wrong word, but atmospheric. But then if everybody sounds like crap when they come in, because for example, we're recording this podcast in quite a big room with a high, so it's probably a little bit of an echo in it when I talk. But when we actually talk, we're actually like an inch away from the mic, so it's hopefully not too horrible. But you got to think about that so your boom mic is going to be a meter away from somebody.
But then as well as you were talking before about that container, we've got metal ceilings in here, so if it was lashing down outside with rain, you'd probably pick that up because it'd be really, really loud, bouncing off the metal, corrugated steel roof. So. And
that's it. So it's not always about the visual of because we always say that you can kind of get away with terrible imagery, but you can't get away with bad sound. You could. That's why there's films that are filmed on iPhones now, isn't there? That actually get into festivals and stuff. And have you noticed with found? Nobody does them anymore, which is a good thing. With found footage films, have you noticed the camera work's so shaky and crap, but the sound is always good.
Perfect.
If the sound was like a handheld camera or a phone, nobody would fucking stay to the end of that film, would they?
That's it.
So it's
we were talking about that the other day in terms of films like handheld cameras, and it was Cloverfield, wasn't it? Cloverfield was the one we were talking about. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah,
talking about the audio is
perfect.
It's perfect.
He's on top of a skyscraper, walking along with
explosions going on around them,
and like the wind's really loud, but there's no wind going into the mic for some reason. But I think that's just us being picky production pillocks, isn't it? Where if you're But that's an example. You can accept the shaky handheld nonsense for the good audio. So if you go into your location and it sounds like crap, people, it's grating, isn't it? And even though you think, oh, let's sort it out in post, why give yourself the headache? Because even if audio is not something you should sort out in post unless you've really, really got a problem that you never expected.
It's more time again, though. It's more time having to to spend removing.
Or put an effect on something, and then are you going to get it good? Have you got a full professional sound mixing team to sort it out, or are you doing it yourself? People are going to know you're doing it yourself. Just sacrifice the pretty looking picture for a good film that has good sound. That's what I'd say, wouldn't you? My next one is. It sounds weird, but you'll usually find this on shoots which is full of guys. So if you've got well, not just guys, but sometimes a production crew full of guys with a crew full of guys, they'll go film in the woods somewhere and happily pee behind a tree. But not everybody, so once you bring in some ladies in, you go, I don't want to pee behind a tree anymore, So is there room, is there facilities nearby that people could use as a loo? If not, can you afford to hire, I don't know what they're called in America, but we call them portaloos
over here.
Which is the little cubicle things you have on construction sites and things like that. So you're going to need to get at least a couple of those. I don't think they're crazy expensive. I think you can get them for 50 quid, $100 a day or something like that. But especially if you've got a reasonable, well-known female actor, she's not going to want to be peeing behind a tree all freaking day. But it's weird that we're talking about pretty big shoots as well sometimes, where they'll have all that in the indoors, but when they go out and about, they've just completely forgotten. Somebody got somewhere where they could use the toilet.
But then it comes down to that location scouting beforehand as well, because you need to know where that portaloo is going to go.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the middle of a woods on a slope,
where's
that portaloo going to go on that slope? Because no one is going to want to go in this toilet if it's on a bit of a slope. So, and
how's the van going to get there to drop it off the back of it, type thing? And which sounds daft, but it's these little things which people will ask you. Do you know that you found a location, you've got everything, you've got the crew, and then just before the day of filming, an actor's agent goes, okay, so where's leads on to another one of mine really, which is, okay, so where's she getting changed? And you're like, I don't know. So, and you can't let her get changed in a portaloo. So you got to have the God knows what they call them in America. I think my brain's gone. But you know what I mean? So it's you got to have outdoor toilets there, but you can't expect to get changed there. So do you need a little RV truck trailery thing? Because you don't want to get a big fancy trailers, but could you get a little, what they call RV type van, so that'll let you drive it in and all that? But you need to have somewhere they could use a toilet and somewhere they can get changed. And ideally, if it's cold, they need somewhere to relax in between takes. Oh, yeah. They can't just sit there in the cold with a jacket. I mean, we've all done those shoots, the low-budget shoots where we've all grim and bared it through the elements. But if you want people to take you seriously, and it's treating people with respect. So if you're going, especially if you're not a big budget film and you're trying to get respectable actors, you're trying to get actors in and crew in.
Respect from everyone.
To show professionalism and respect, they will, even if they're not, they prefer, right, they've got two choices to go to a film. Maybe the other one's got a better script and a better character. But with your one, I can tell this person's professional. I've got some facilities. I've got somewhere I can go and read the script in between takes. I've got, even if it's something like, you can get changing tents. Have you seen those little? I'd only recommend them if you really kind of a bit.
Or teepees.
Teepees.
Talking about teepees.
Yeah. So if you, but yeah, so it sounds like a daft thing, but that could actually, little things like that will put people off being in your production. Never mind it being a nightmare on the day of filming. Yeah. And even if you're like, oh, there's toilets nearby. By nearby, do you mean a 10-minute walk? So if Keith, if you needed the toilet, we've got, but we need you on camera. Have I got to wait 10 minutes for you to walk there, 10 minutes to do your business, 10 minutes to walk back? So there's half an hour every time anybody needs a toilet. So then imagine you coming back, and then the other actor goes, actually, I could do with the toilet as well. There's an hour down the toilet. And I'm not doing that. I'd rather pay 50 quid to have a portable toilet. So think of facilities as somebody got somewhere to go to the toilet, somewhere to get changed, and somewhere to get away from you. You know, like look through their script, have a break,
a bit of a rehearse as well, isn't
rehearse, yeah. There's other actors, warm up a bit if it's freezing. Often it's a little thing. Well, it's not a little thing. It's a little thing in people's brains.
People forget.
People forget it. Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. People just forget about the little things like that. They're too worried about this shot, the sound,
sounds great.
everything, the light and everything else. But they seem to forget about the little things that people do on a day-to-day basis that will eat up time.
And you'll be amazed how, say, if you got a 5-day shoot. And you could have all the contracts in the world and the money, but if 2 days in, so your actors or crew are absolutely having a horrible time and hating it, they won't turn up day 3. Do you know what I mean? It's kind
but
of,
it's going to drag and drag,
and then people will not put the effort in, and people will be snappy and treat you like shit all day because you haven't showed them the respect. So,
but then that comes across in their performance as well because they can't be asked.
Can't be asked. That's it. I'll just get them in their brain. They're just going, get this over with. But there's genuinely no guarantee that they'll turn up the day after, because they'll just, if they've got representation like an agent, they'll usually ask for this stuff.
Yeah.
But 2 days in, and they turn to their agent and say, "Oh, they haven't got any toilets. They haven't got. I don't want to do this anymore." The agent will be like, "Get out of there." Dare them to try and sue us and break the contract, because they'll just turn around in a legal sense and said you didn't make it a safe, fair working environment.
That's it.
So then you won't have a chance. So treat people, show them the respect and professionalism by just having the simple things off screen will make everything on screen a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? What's your next one?
Ooh, it's very close to the one that you've just talked about then, about the kind of like the facilities and stuff, but this is more to do with other things that you need to think about that you kind of don't think about when it comes to locations. Mm-hmm. So think about when your actors or the crew and stuff are getting to a certain location. Is the parking there?
Yeah.
There's something that people just completely forget about, and they're just like, oh, you're coming in a van, 2 vans, such and such not getting a train.
Parking food trucks, sometimes you got like, some people have catering, but they'll have a food truck that'll turn up. Where's it gonna park and stay?
And if they've got like a trailer, how big the trailer's going to be? If there's a tiny car park for 3 cars, where's this trailer gonna go? Where is everyone gonna fit? So that's another thing that you kind of need to look out for. If you're going into London, is the parking on location? If not, then you're gonna have to try and find out the closest NCP or whatever, the closest car park to it. So I'd say that's a very big one that you need to look out for. Definitely have like plan A, B, and C, the closest car park to the location.
Yeah, and it's even things like, say, if you've got taxis and drivers or whatever to take cast and crew, they still need a place to get dropped off. If you're Again, if you're in the middle of the woods somewhere and you've got a car park which is miles away, so they get dropped off, then is somebody meeting them? Are they walking with them can they be bothered walk? Are they going to be knackered by the time they get up? Is it up hills and stuff like that? But
especially if they've got like a suitcase and stuff with like, I don't know, costumes or anything, they're going to have something with them. So lugging that across a field, for 30 minutes to get to the location from the drop-off point is something that an actress isn't going to want to do.
No, I mean, the actor said, like a makeup artist, she turns up with all of her, they usually turn up with those big silver hard cases, don't they, which are usually you need a bit of help so they got
even for us, like when we're going on shoots and stuff, we don't want to be lugging all these massive pelly cases around. These pelly cases, some of them are like bigger than me, and I'm 6'4". I don't want to be lugging that across a field and then having to go back to pick up something else. So you just need to think about the parking situation and how close it is to the location or wherever you're going to be filming that first scene.
So if you think most shoots have, even if you don't think like a production to, say, our budget, where there'll be several trucks and so on. But you're usually going to have 2 or 3 cars, at least, you'd think, especially if you're going to, say, an actor's turned up in a car, the crew have got 4 or 5 crew have shared a couple of cars.
You can't see anyone jumping on trains with the gear to get to one location to the other.
The other thing is, if you're filming in the ghetto and you think it's actually because it looks cool, think about the safety of your cars. Do you know what I mean? If you have gear in there. Do you see what I mean? You might have crew or cast which turn up to this car park and go, I am not leaving my car here.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, are you thinking of somewhere they can get parking which is actually safe for them and to leave it? If not, could you get some guy to help and be security of the car park for a day just to keep an eye on the cars? God knows who you get to. If you can't afford security guards, but you know, if you got a buddy that give him 20 quid, 20 bucks just to man it all day, sit there and read your phone or read a book, you never know. But you'll be surprised where, again, talking about safe, what's the word, working environments. Cast or crew turn up and they're like, it's not safe to leave my car here. I don't have to work today. Yeah, you can't force me to. You can't force somebody to park their car somewhere. Because they could be the best cinematographer in the world, got all the gear. If he or she's got the gear, like the camera, and he's like, well, we're not doing it. I'm not leaving my car here. I'm definitely not leaving any. I've got bags and stuff to leave on the back seat or in the back of the car. I'm not saying it. So do you see what I mean? So it's the size. Have they got the size of the car park? Is it? Have you got parking actually nearby to where you're going to film, or is it a marathon to get and a hike to get to where you're actually shooting? And is it safe to leave the car there? You know, so you do want to have something which is kind of make sure your cast and crew know that what's the term? It's leave valuables and that at your own risk, because you don't want to be liable for any of that. So you want to make sure that they know that before they leave the car. You want to make a little sign or something, or just make sure that everybody definitely knows before turning up. Because if you don't say that, you are technically in a working environment where you're hiring people, and you will be liable for their valuables if somebody smashes a window and takes somebody's watch or phone or something like that. You're not just paying for the phone, you're paying for the phone, the cleanup of the car, the window,
everything.
You know what I mean? The replacement car for a bit. So it's a good point. It's again, I think this is the whole point of what we're trying to do today. Is some people, they might be, to us now it's obvious, but when we started, I don't think it would be obvious. No, we definitely didn't. And there's definitely people that we worked with before who have like, and we're talking some big friggin' a certain broadcasting corporations in Britain.
That's all you're getting.
I don't think it's Sherlock Holmes would have to work that out, but that this type of stuff has not been on the case. But you can't blame them. You blame the production company that was doing it. They were in a rush. They're in distress. They've thought they've got all the cast, crew, and gear, and they've forgotten about everything else, isn't it? But yeah, that's a. It's kind of again leading on to some. Kind of the points we're making is where people are going to eat. So even if you can't afford actual catering where people bring their own sandwiches and stuff, where they're going to eat it. Yeah. So you don't want to be eating everything on your set around your gear and your cables and things like that. So they need a safe place to do it. So if you're getting catering, could you get a food truck or something? They're usually the best. But in terms of what we're talking about today is choosing locations. We've chosen certain locations, like, for example, bits of Patriarch and bits of short films we've done was filmed in a Cold War nuclear bunker in Cheshire in UK. But that's actually got a NAFI in it, which is a military cafe, isn't it? So it's where the staff used to eat. And they've actually turned into a bit of a museum now. So So once we're filming, I think we've hired the whole place out, but they will still have staff there on the day. So on lunchtime, we can all get our food. And through the... People often forget with food as well. It's like you need a through the day thing. Yeah. So like caterers, which, most people can't afford, but they do have deals, which is like people get breakfast, lunch, and tea and coffee all day. Like unlimited when you want it type thing, and nibbles. So I'm not saying you have to have that, but I mean, even if you have all that, where are they going to eat them? Again, you all... I mean, sometimes you think, well, we're all in the woods and we're all in this together. Great, let's do it. But what if it's pissing down with rain and it's freezing and people just want half an hour out of the rain and when you need to think of something. So how are you going to feed your team and where are they going to eat it? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's when you were saying before about having the cafe we've got in the bunker I'm talking about now. It's like we've got the cafe there, we've got the toilet facilities.
Yeah.
There's car park. There's so much room for cars, trucks.
There's spare rooms for people to get changed and for makeup artists as well. They need a space to get set up. So there's loads of empty rooms in there.
That was one of the reasons why we looked at the bunker, because it ticked all the boxes for what we needed and what we wanted. So
yeah, it's also they're also insured, so they've got their own. So anybody goes in there, they might be covered by their insurance rather than us. We'll always be insured anyway.
Yeah.
They've got somebody in charge of the place, so if we need anything, and we're surprised as well, where sometimes you will get little added extras and things like that. As I say, like this bunker has got. So we were just having a look because it was fun to just do the little tour thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
But there's one section where they got all the hazmat suits, kind of like the old radiation protection suit. And we were just going, oh, that's cool. And she was just like, yeah, you can use that if you want. We're like, pardon? What was that?
Say that again. Can you write that down for us in the contract?
Yeah, is that on the invoice? Is that what you say? But it was just like, no, it's here as long as you look after it. If you damage it, you'll have to pay for it. But we didn't even need a hazmat suit in it. We just made an excuse to have one now of just having a dead
even
guy.
Even if it's just someone on the floor with the suit on it still adds to the production value, doesn't it?
Because we were just having somebody turns around the corner and there's a guy dead on the floor.
Yeah.
Makes it more interesting if it's like, because it's all dark and somebody's just lighting a room with a flare. It'll just look cool if it's a hazmat suit. It just tells a bit of a story, but that definitely saved us money on.
But it's not just the hazmat suit. There's loads of other props and stuff in there that they've got that they've said that we can use, isn't there?
Like they've got a mock-up of a ward, like a hospital. So we've made an excuse to make a short film just to use that ward, and that's it. It's all. We started with it while it looked cool, you know. And if you go on like our Instagram and things like that, you can see some photos of it. I think it's at Patriarch movie, but it's. Looking cool is not the point, but as you say, parking, it's got a military fence around it. Nobody's breaking into those cars. You've got, as you say, you've got the rooms for the makeup artists. You've got a room for all the actors to kind of get their own space when we're doing their editing, you know, read lines or practice. It's open 24 hours as well. For us, it will be. We have to pay for 24 hours, but we can turn up.
It's quiet.
And it's very, very quiet.
When we were saying before about the audio and stuff of certain rooms and locations, because it is underground in a bunker.
Yeah, it's like a cool.
It's creepy quiet.
Yeah, it's like 3 floors down, underground, isn't it? Because it's like a place in the middle of the UK which was keeping an eye out for Russian missiles coming in the Cold War. So it's but we see it, we film it, we did a camera test there, all looks great. But that doesn't mean, we definitely use it. Then me and Keith turn around to it and go, okay, here's this list of stuff. And that's pretty much everything that we've been saying. So then it's tick, 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 isn't it, really? Have you got another one?
This one might sound a bit obvious, but make sure that you've got permission to actually film on your location.
Well, it's even little things like we filmed in like fields before in the middle of nowhere. But you do think... Who owns? Is this public land? Is does a farmer own this? Should we be
like wherever? I mean, the amount of times we've been on shoots and stuff, and there's always been someone who's come over to us. One of the clients has organised a shoot, and we've rocked up on this shoot, and we obviously, have we got permission? Can we do this? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. We're all fine to do that. Probably 10, 15 minutes into shooting, someone's come over and said, do you have permission to do that?
What are you doing here, guys?
What are you doing? We tell them, have you got proof? So then we kind of look to the clients like, well, you've told us that you've got permission to film here. Can we, and we look to the client to say, have you got the proof? Have you got the contact? Then they go off, disappear, and while we're waiting for the client to find the contact details of who they've spoken with, we can't touch the camera, we can't roll until we've got that permission.
And these are he's talking about commercials we've made, so these are like with big, huge, global brands that should know better. But and from our point of view, we're just like we can be for blame for that as well, because it should have been look, have you got this? But sometimes you just take people by their word.
Yeah.
So try and see some paperwork if somebody else has actually told you, oh yeah, we can film there, don't worry about that, because that's happened to us a few times, where we've been told we can film, turn up in the morning, and then that kind of leads me on to another one, which was make sure you've got the right personal protection equipment.
Yeah.
Because we filmed in things like, we've done scenes and promo on like shipping docks.
Yeah.
Where we've got there and we didn't have like safety shoes, a high vis vest, and a helmet. And they were like, well, you can't come on set. We're not letting you in then. We're like, oh, what? But John from marketing said, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're filming in somewhere quite cool, who runs it? Have you got permission? Yeah. And do you have to have some kind of safety equipment? Sometimes you assume that they've got some to lend you, which is not that they might have one, maybe two, but you need to kit out your whole crew with, right, you get that a lot with, do you know, like warehouses or places, construction places which are like abandoned and still low, do you know, like because of health and safety, they won't let you in the building without, because there's usually a reason why they're frigging abandoned. So you need to make sure and do it for your own. Never mind just getting it, just do it for your own protection, because you don't want somebody falling on a crew member's head when that's your fault, not whoever runs the location. But yeah, it's usually when we go on shoots, we keep in our cars safety shoes, high vis, and safety helmets, don't we?
Yeah, in our van, we've got the helmets, the gloves as well. You'd be surprised how many times you need gloves.
Yeah, sometimes if it's like we've done scenes in like pharmaceutical places or like laboratories and stuff like that. So we've had to have hairnet. You've had to have those nets which go into over your feet. You know, like the little slip-on things that go over your shoes. I think
face masks, which is massive at the moment.
Yeah, face masks. So, what do you need to wear to get actually into the building and to protect yourselves and protect? I mean, a lot of it is to protect their products and location, or especially if you're in like a lab. But you'd be amazed. It's either safety or it's protecting their. I mean, going into some museums, you might be asked to, especially if you're going near their artwork, you might be told to wear gloves or something like that, or they'll put boundaries around where you can go and where you can't go. And the other thing is, if you've worked really hard to secure a location, make sure your crew doesn't take the piss. Do you know? And it's kind of they've got rules. Make sure they stick to the rules, and because it makes you look like a dickhead, doesn't it? So if we've hired somebody as like a third party, as not on the production company, and everybody's told them you can't go in that area, and they're just doing it, or they're not paying attention, or they're having a cup of coffee where they said don't know drinking it.
Yeah.
You need to knock that crap on the head very quickly, because at the end of the day, if you pay a location, they've let you in. If you're there for 10 minutes and they kick you out, you've still got to pay for that day, because they let you in and it was your own fault. So if that went to court, you're paying, mate. So one for me is make sure where's your nearest hospital. You should be having, you don't have to have doctors and ambulance, but you should have some kind of first aid trained person on set to do the basics, so to speak, or somebody. But obviously can you get phone signal where you are? If something happens, can you phone an ambulance? You know, if you can't get through to an ambulance and you just throw somebody in the back of your car to get to a hospital, how far is the nearest hospital? You shouldn't be somewhere where it takes more than an hour to get to a hospital, really. It's kind of, we always have kind of, on our call sheets, we have usually risk assessments at the back of a big list of things which are going to might be a danger when we get onto set, but we always have to note down the nearest hospital so everybody in the crew knows if anything happens.
That's it. I mean, with the call sheet, like everything on that call sheet, if you could give it to someone who hasn't got a clue about the production, will know everything, where things are, where the close hospital is, parking, everything should be on there anyway. So that definitely is a must-have, is the hospitals.
Yeah. And my last one, really, I kind of touched on it before, was insurance. Are you insured? At the end of the day, if somebody hurts himself and tries to sue you, you don't want to go bankrupt because of that. You need to have some kind of insurance. You'll be surprised, it might just cost you a couple £100 to insure everything for one day. But insurance is becoming a big thing in film, no matter what the size of your film, especially with things like COVID. For example, there's a big stuff now where for bigger films like ours, obviously we're not the biggest film in the world, but it's a hefty, you're looking at a couple of $1 million now at the moment. So, but when we start getting in touch with investors, things, and people want to know where you need to put an extra 10% on terms of insurance, which is kind of well off the mark. But the problem is that most insurance company will cover you for everything except COVID, and that's where the price shoots up when they try and insure you. But try and get insured for COVID, because if somebody gets sick and then they can, even if they did it in their own time and then so they went to some bar, but it's during the week of your shoot, they could turn around and blame you because you're the easy target. So you need to make sure you're insured for that. But that's specialist, and if you're listening to this months down the line when hopefully everything's all right.
What's COVID?
Yeah, let us know if we're all still alive. But it's more, if anybody hurts himself on set, if you're the producer, if it's your shoot, you are liable for everybody's safety on your shoot. And so if you're going to a cool abandoned warehouse and something like that, and it looks great, and we're gonna have a drug deal meeting, and then we're gonna have look at the light coming through the looks perfect, but there's a reason why it's abandoned. The roof caves in and lands on all of your couple of your team, or just trips. It doesn't even look like a death. It just trips over, somebody hurts their knee,
bangs the knee. You
might get a bit of an arsehole who's decided, I can get some money out of that. I get a bit compensation, compo. Then if you're not insured, that's coming out of your pocket. So get insured. Even if everybody on your shoot is your buddy, if you're all just mates making a film, somebody, as soon as money gets involved, somebody gets hurt and somebody wants some money from somebody, friendships go out the window real quick. It's just handy to just go, okay, we're insuring everything. It's
covering your own back,
isn't it? Cover your back, yeah. And once you've got that coverage, you kind of act more professional when you do it. Do you know what I mean? You make sure everybody's safe and doesn't hurt them. It's like a weird little psychological thing of hopefully you don't want people to get hurt on your set, but if you're insured and you understand that somebody gets hurt, I'm actually liable, you'll be more serious about it. So,
but the flip of that as well is it isn't just insuring you. You obviously you're getting insured, but you're insured to ensure the location as well. The amount of times we've been on on a shoot, and before touching on permission, the person's come over and said, have you got permission to film here? Do you have your insurance? Yeah. And so we've had to...
Yeah, they might not even let you through the gate.
If you haven't got insurance, some locations might not let you in. So it's something that you need to definitely have even before you go for that location.
Yeah. Protect your gear as well, So your insurance, you need to... If you weren't expecting the rain and your camera gets wet, your insurance should cover it, and so you're not left with... Because, when we started off, we didn't do things like insurance, and somebody sat on a camera once and we were left with we had to just buy a new camera. Usually when you're young and that, we didn't have the greatest credit to actually buy one straight to pay for it monthly even. So you'd have to say, rather than getting paid 1 month, it went into gear and stuff like that. So protect yourself from a legal sense, protect the safety of your crew and your cast, and protect your gear as well, so you don't go into financial, or you won't be able to finish your film, because the good thing about insurance that they should be able to help you get gear the next day. So rather than you just the production's just falling apart, you can know, right, if I hire something from somewhere else, the insurance is going to cover that money, and then so it's a little thing. So you can have the best idea in the world, best crew, best blah 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 blah. But if you're not doing if you don't think about these things, especially when it comes to locations, you might be in some trouble. So protect yourself, and hopefully that's helped. But I think there's a few little points there which you tend to just kind of look past. Mm-hmm. You always just kind of think, oh, does it look nice? We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
When we get there, everything will be fine. But there's little things like this little checklist of things that you need to have in place to make sure it runs smoothly. We found that
Murphy's Law always says, do you know when you prepare for the worst doesn't happen. When you're just like, we'll be fine, something will happen. So don't risk it, prepare it. And when you go looking for a location, try and keep all these in mind, and it'll just make your life easier. It'll make the shoot more enjoyable. and you'll keep everybody safe. So, right. So, what we'll do is we always like to finish with a nice, either a hidden gem, an underappreciated film, or something which loads of people haven't seen. So, do you want to go? Have you got it? So
I've got one. I think a lot of people have seen it. Right. How I'll do it is I'll give you the tagline of it. But when I say tagline, is you got, obviously you think of like Jaws, and you think just when you thought it was safe to go in the water, or you'll never swim again, or whatever it is. You'll never go in the water again. This one is 8 legs, 2 fangs, and an attitude.
It's either 8-legged
and it's not 8-legged freaks
or arachnophobia. Is it arachnophobia?
It's arachnophobia. I love this film. It's kind of like my Jaws on land.
It's what drives me. The fact that I think it's a PG or PG-13 fucking drives me crazy, because that film is fucking terrifying. I'm
36 now, and I'm scared of spiders because of that film.
I can't do it. There's a part where I can't look at I can't pour cereal without looking in it first. Yeah. Because in the film, a dead spider falls out when somebody pours one. Is it dead or is it alive? I can't remember.
Because isn't it? Is it
when I'm in the shower, I have to look around because there's certain scenes like that. I mean,
is it John Goodman who opens the cereal, or is it someone else?
Someone else. He's the what's it called? Eradicator guy. But it's ridiculous at parts, but it's pretty good. But it is. I don't know if it's just because my fear of spider, where it's the only film I'll watch any film and not be scared of. Any film apart from arachnophobia. Yeah. I'll watch it and like I try every now and again. I'll try it.
Yeah.
Come on! I'm a fully grown man. I'm 6 foot on. I'm going to try it, and I get to the bit when they put that smoke and then like everything starts falling out of the tree, and then the huge one, and then they're kind of like, nah, I know what's happening. Nope, I'm gonna do it.
It's the only film that I watch and I get itchy.
Oh mate, well, I was trying to watch that. I can then feel them when I'm sleeping in my eyes. I can feel a spider in my mouth.
And then you're terrified putting your slippers on as well.
I'll put in slippers and I'll put my hand into anything where I can't see where the hands go. I'm not going to I can't shower without looking up at the shower, because the shower head.
There's one under the toilet. Do you know what? It must be like what Australians are like. Because like when my wife went to Australia, she's like, you need to be checking under the toilets. You need to be checking in the showers. You need to be checking everywhere for spiders, because everything, because within 2 meters of you, there's always something that can kill you.
Yeah, but Australians are used to it. Like my brother lives in Australia, and he just, because you got to check and all that, but it's British people and Americans going there going, oh my god, everything could kill you. But Australians, I think the fact that they're just relaxed, they probably don't get bitten as much. It's these uptight British people going, oh my god. Yeah. Don't look at it. Like my brother in Australia he says he moved into this new house, and in the garden there was an upside down wheelbarrow, and he's been there 2 years and he hasn't moved.
I would not.
He hasn't moved that wheelbarrow.
Wouldn't.
He just says he cuts the grass around it. he's not lifted out of, which that made me laugh when he told me that. He's like, I'm not daft. I can look at a wheelbarrow.
Don't mess with it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's the only one that I can't. It's an 08 film. It's not a Disney film, is it? I'm sure it's supposed to be it's not. There's not gory. It's not anything.
1990s.
It's that anxious. Do you know that anxious fear of oh, and then you just start thinking that. Do you know that itch you've got at the back of your head is a fully grown. But it's not even, because you got the big tarantula thing. It's those little ones, isn't it? They're like the most poisonous spiders in the world. Yeah, yeah. And it's like this little village, isn't it, in the US somewhere where they've got there's been some spreading of them, and it's just
because it was where was it from? Were they in like an African jungle, or they were in a jungle?
Goes to some, I think maybe South America, some rainforest.
Yeah, they were in a rainforest, and then a poisonous spider came over to America and breeded with another poisonous spider, and then that's why it was so deadly.
Yeah, and it's horrible. It's horrible. that's my version of it. That's one where I start getting shaky legs, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm off. I'd rather watch that than any, like Exorcist slasher type thing. I can watch all that all day, but as soon as somebody goes, no, I know it's coming. I don't want to see it.
It's got spiders in, Dave. No.
I'm done. Right, my one to finish up is it's a famous one, and a lot of people have seen it, but I'm saying it's a really right. So it's Alien 3, but it's not even the director's cut of it, because the director David Fincher is done with it. He just said, I'm not interested. It's called the assembly cut. Where if you watch it, because the theatrical cut of Alien 3 is a bit crap. It seems a bit rushed. There's bits cut out. Characters kind of move and all that. And I think what happens to Hicks and Newt in like the opening scene pissed off a lot of people. They were like, but it's shot beautifully, because it's David Fincher directed it, and it got a good cinematographer. And it's all, if you watch how it's shot, it's actually, wow, this is actually beautifully shot. All the actors in it, they're all like friggin' old Shakespearean actors, apart from Ripley and, is it Charles something? You got the guy from Game of Thrones in it. What's his name? The Charles Dance. So you've got Charles Dutton as well, who's the black guy with the shaved head, the cool guy with glasses. And the rest of them all seem to be these. There seems to be some prison full of English Shakespearean actors. So the acting levels is really good. The special effects are a bit dodgy here and there, but it was because it was made, 93, 94, whenever. What year was it?
It was 92.
92, so there's going to be bits which are a bit ropey. But it's actually, I say, give it another shot, because Aliens is probably one of my favourite films, and everybody loves Alien and Aliens.
I think it's because people were comparing them.
That's the point.
That's the problem.
It's different. So Alien is more of like a claustrophobic, like horror. It's basically a horror story. It's a haunted house, basically, but in space. And Aliens is more of like an action horror, which is kind of... Alien 3 it's quite cool because they haven't got any technology. It's like set in a prison where they kind of like they've got to get
rid of like a post-apocalyptic.
A little bit,
weird
planet, and it's going
it?
back to one alien rather than loads, and it's. I say just give it another shot, but watch the assembled version of it, the assembled cut, because it's really good. There's like whole sections of it where you're like, that's actually a really cool idea, and they just got rid of it. Like there's a section with. There's this do you know when the McCanns? He's actually from Liverpool. Do you know there's Paul McCann, or whatever his name, he was Doctor Who for a bit. He is actually like a psychopath serial killer in it. And there's this whole sequence of him worshipping the alien, and there's a sequence where they try and trap the alien, and they trap it, and because he worships it, his whole life becomes to escape and let it out and things like that. And they cut it out, and you kind of like, that's actually really good. So they cut out so much stuff in terms of character and suspense, and it's really well made, and it's actually a good story. So it's not exactly a hidden gem, but I'm just saying it's underappreciated. Give it another watch. That's all I'd say.
What about Requiem?
I love it.
Was it
Alien Resurrection.
Resurrection, that's the one.
I think that one's just... I wouldn't say that's shit. I just say that's just a bit of fun.
I didn't mind it.
It's just like, it's
But if you're going to compare it to the early ones, then it's going to be
exactly.
It's not going to hold up to like 1, 2, or 3.
That's it.
But if you watch it just with an open mind, it's kind of like a good film.
Just watch it, and that's the thing because I think I just went back to Alien 3 when I hadn't watched Alien or Aliens in ages.
Yeah.
Just going, Alien 3. Jeez, I haven't watched that since it came out, and I just put it on the special edition assembly cut, and I watched and you're like, this is really good. It's just a good horror film, good suspense, well acted, beautifully shot. Because it's all weird, low angles looking up, which you don't see a lot. And I was just, at the end of it, you're like, I don't see what everybody's fucking problem is. It's actually really good.
That's it. Look, next time you watch it, have a look at the camera angles. Everything is kind of below, looking up, isn't it? Which is
because I think
don't think of.
They got sets where usually you don't shoot upwards because the set is just full of lights at the top. But he just decided that he was going to make sure that, these sets have actually made rooms. Yeah. And it kind of just adds to the suspense and who's creepy. But give it another shot. Alien 3 Assembly Cut. It's usually on the special edition Blu-ray or whatever.
And watch Arachnophobia at night. Eating
By
cereal.
yourself.
Eating cereal out of the box.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you later, guys. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Speak
Bye-bye.
soon.
To find out more about the making of Patriarch, follow the team on social by searching Patriarch Movie on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Or visit patriarch-movie.com for more information. This podcast is sponsored by Zimplify, sales and marketing automation software that helps your business grow fast. Go to zimplify.com/patriarch to get 20% off your first 3 months. That's zymplify.com/patriarch. We're also sponsored by Mostly T-shirts, mostly.com. Fun and random t-shirts and hoodies for real film fans. See if you can get the references. Visit mostlytshirtsmostly.com to buy your next favorite t-shirt. This podcast was produced by Wagyu Films.